have a genuine question. What do you think is the number one most important thing that you would need to enhance your creativity or to think more creatively? Is it some sort of tool, or what would it be? It's a genuine question for everyone that is watching this video. How I have seen it and how I kind of lived through it is creativity doesn't come from watching anyone or seeing anyone do something. It comes from yourself. Think of it this way. If you're following a particular person, if you're following a rapper, if you're following a singer, if you're following an artist, your creativity would be kind of correlated to that person. So is it really your creative idea, or is it just a mixture of whatever you have seen? So in a sense, the creativity comes from within. We all know that, right? Then why is that you as a person is letting your creativity dictate by somebody else? Because I've seen a lot of people try to follow someone or try to follow an artist, when when they are asked the question of why do you follow that person, or why do you actually, especially I'm talking to the artists here, or the people that are trying to produce art. Because if you're following an artist, you are there's a difference in following an artist and appreciating an art. Because if you're appreciating an art, that doesn't have any sort of bearing in your art itself. Like, obviously, as an artist, you should know how to appreciate art, but at the same time, don't let that art piece dictate how exactly you are going to create your own art. And I've seen that a lot of time, because a lot of time that would impact how you actually think, right? And then there's another thing that creativity is obviously impacted by the other person, but another idea, let's say you come up with a great idea, and most of the time most people would never ever work on that particular creative ideas. They would give it excuses on, like, I don't have tools, I don't have resources, I don't have capability of doing creativity as such. And what would it lead to is that once you stop working on your creative ideas, like whatever idea that you have in mind, and you don't work on it, or you don't bring that into light, ultimately you're gonna stop thinking creatively. Your mind is automatically gonna be like, you know what, even if I come up with an idea, this person isn't gonna execute it. So what's the point of generating an idea when there's no execution on that idea as such? So this neurologically impacts your brain as such. You're just gonna stop thinking creatively. You have to execute your ideas. It doesn't matter if you don't do it perfectly, because most people are perfectionists, right? They want to do everything perfectly. No, even if you have zero skills in a domain, and you get an incredible ideas. For example, let's say you have absolute zero clue on how to make a laptop, but you have an incredible idea of a laptop as such that would revolutionize all the laptop industry. You should still go and execute that idea. It doesn't matter, like, you can come up with a prototype mock-up and then look for investors or whatever. Like, there's always ways to kind of loop around that idea as such, right? But the first thing that comes in play is execution of that initial execution. And most people don't have the courage to do that. Why is that? And the answer isn't that complicated. The answer is simple. They don't want to engage in such things because they have a sense of responsibility, or they self-infuse themselves with a boundary as such, like, oh, I'm not gonna go into that industry, or oh, I'm not gonna go there, ooh, because I don't have idea, or I don't have experience. If you have a creative idea, if you get an idea, go and do it. Then what's gonna happen is ultimately your brain is gonna start generating more and more and more creative ideas. No wonder all these super famous artists and super famous labels, creatives, and all these domains come up with such a unique way to represent art, because they are constantly thinking about art, they are constantly executing the art as such. And once you start executing the art, start executing your ideas, stop the noise that is going to come from outside. Because what's going to happen is, when you're going to initially start working on your ideas, or start working on your projects ain't gonna work. Like, most people aren't gonna love it. Some people might love it at the initial state, or you might need to work more on your project success. But that initial stage is where you're gonna see a lot of other art interfere in yours. In that state, you should appreciate that art, but not let that art impact yours. And that is the most crucial step, because if you let that art dictate your art, then ultimately you're going into that direction, and that is going to lead you to not really, is at that point, that's not really a creative idea, is it? The creative idea is meant to be unique. It's meant to have a sense of authenticity, and that authenticity is gonna come when you block all the noise. That is gonna come when you're gonna execute your art itself. Well, that's my observation of how I look, what people are lacking when they execute, or when uh, they want to generate creative ideas. Like, these are the two most important aspects. The first thing is, be able to filter out the noise of other art. Like, they don't have the capability to have a tunnel vision into their projects as such. And the second thing is, they don't execute and their art. They don't execute the projects. They don't I execute what ideas they have it in their mind itself. Well, let me know if you think this kind of relates to you. If so, you know what to do. All right, have a good one, and see you.